dear friends and net aspirants. So we are starting with a new video series, new video lecture series about cultural studies. So if you know that NTA syllabus contains exactly this term cultural studies, that means they see cultural studies as an imminent part of the syllabus. So you must be familiar with some of the concepts and thinkers and terms related to cultural studies that are there, and it is vital for you to know in order to crack NTA UGC NET JRF exam. So once you have finished with the British literature and literary theory, cultural studies is a portion from which you can find lot of questions in this exam. So if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, in the beginning of this new lecture series that I am going to start, so this will be an introductory session, introductory video about cultural studies, and this is not going to be very lengthy. So like we were discussing during the literature of Elizabeth and all, we had elaborate kind of videos that I am not going to do here, because I don't think that you will be interested in some lengthy videos, that much lengthy videos like 1 hour lengthy video and all. I'll try to restrict the length of the video about 15 to 30 minutes. In between you will find the length of the video. So I hope that won't be a tedious thing or a tiresome thing for you to listen and make notes. So yeah, so if you have not subscribed, please subscribe me here and also press the bell icon so that you get a notification whenever I upload a video. And like here, I am also present in Instagram too. You can follow me there if you have an Instagram page. There I am sharing many more free study materials in a daily basis, like study cards, reels, 1-minute videos, and small videos, carousels, stories, study cards, and also smart facts, and lot of other things related to NTA UGC English language and literature. Even if you are just a literary student, this will help you in many ways. And if you want to also join a WhatsApp group in which I am sharing news and updates related to NTA UGC NET, daily quiz questions and answers, and along with some study materials, you can obviously call me or message me or WhatsApp me in this given number. And so more than that, if you are looking for a comprehensible study materials related to English language and literature, NTA UGC English language and literature, then obviously you can go and visit me in this website www.highpoint.in, where you will find ample amount or sufficient amount of materials for your preparation, net preparation, once you have your free trial. How we are divided the NTA UGC NET indicative syllabus into various topics and subtopics, chapters, and how we have arranged generally the things too. You can have the demo materials, and along with this audio lectures, we have 300 plus downloadable PDF materials, and also practice and previous question papers. All these things you can have from the website once you join for the course, and a 15% of off is going on in the website. So don't miss it and start your learnings early and your preparations early, so that you will get a ample amount of time to cover up the entire syllabus, the study materials, and also you will get a chance to revise each of the covered materials, covered topics as many times as possible using various things. So once you join for the course, either of the courses, you will get 2 bonuses from us. One is weekly test in every Saturdays, and also another one a personalized study guide according to your schedules and according to your preferences of topics. So yeah, if you want to know more, obviously you can message me here or call me in this number given here. So moving on, let's have an introduction about cultural studies. So before going into the introduction, let me tell you about some meanings associated to the culture in the early times. Okay, so the early meaning associated to the word culture. So culture derives from 2 words, cultura and colere. Cultura and colere, which means together, to cultivate. So we know agriculture, in which we are actually cultivating pulses and crops, right? So from that meaning, from that early meaning, this word arises, agriculture. And it also means to honor and protect. So another meaning that we in early times we can see associated to the word culture is that to honor or to protect. Okay, so by the 19th century in Europe, it means the habits, customs and taste of the upper classes. So on this basis of the culture, the meaning of the culture in the 19th century, we can see Matthew Arnold comes with a with an elaborate definition for culture, that which something elite. Okay, culture is something elite, every other sense which is followed by the elite class. So culture got such a turn of meaning in the 19th century, which means good habits, good custom, good taste of the upper classes. That means the upper class habits, customs and tastes are regarded as good, elite, and they are cultural. Okay, so from this background and standing in this background, Matthew Arnold defined culture in this way. So that we will see later in the slides. So what is culture in the modern times or post-modern times according to cultural studies? So after this we will move on to the introductory part, okay, about cultural studies. So culture is a mode of generating meaning and ideas. Okay, culture is not something that is elite, that is a quality of the elite people or the upper class people, but it is ordinary, the ordinary practices that we are doing in everyday life, and everyday life is important in culture. The deeds and things that we are, the rituals and customs that we are practicing in our day-to-day life, that is what mean by culture, not something elite, not something cultured, not something, the quality of upper class people. Okay, so the culture is the mode of generating meaning and ideas. So because of the practices that we are following in the name of culture, that gives meaning and ideas. See, we have for different things and different purposes in our life, we have different cultures, right? For take the example of marriage. Marriage is not happening everywhere in this world same. It's a kind of ritual that you need to pass through in order to get an eligibility to live together, a man and wife. It's a custom. So through that it generates a meaning and generates an idea. So meanings are governed by power relation. Who determines this meaning? It is determined or governed by power relation. So all these terms you maybe get little bit confused, but later as we move on to this whole series of lectures, one after another, this will get a clarity for you. Okay. Elite culture controls meanings because it controls the terms of the debate. That means, so which is considered as good idea, which is considered as great idea, or which is considered as something good or bad. Of course, what the elite people are doing, their dressing style. Okay, take the dressing style, their food habit, their delicacies, their way of life, their taste about art and culture, art and literature, always considered as elite and cultured and good. But what the middle class or lower middle class or low class people are doing, their food habit, their way of life, their choices, their things, all these things are considered cultureless. So in that way, elite people control the culture, the meaning, because they controls the terms of the debate about culture, debate about any meaning generation. Non-elite views on life and art are rejected as tasteless, useless, or even stupid by the elite. See, you may find this little bit confusing and surprised, but still, see the elite choice of dresses. Think about some decades back, from 5 decades back in India. The way in which the elite people dressed and the lower class people dressed entirely different, and they are dressing in a particular way that they can afford, right? The elite people can afford good fabric, good kind of comfortable kind of dress, but the lower class people, they cannot afford it because they don't have any financial background to afford that kind of fabric and dressing styles. So when we look at which is good and bad, we will immediately tell that the elite people, we like their kind of dressing style, and it is taste. They have a taste in it. It is useful. They are cultured. See, but the lower class people's lifestyle, their views of life, not only about dressing style but food habits, or their day-to-day carrying out of things, their selection of jobs and professional preference, their preferences about art, maybe all of them are considered as tasteless, useless, or even stupid by the elite people. Okay, so what this implies is that certain components of culture are more visibility, have more visibility and significance. See, we, anyway, everyone is living only, and they are doing certain customs and practices and rituals throughout their life, and one set of or some set of practices and rituals or customs are good. Some other practices and some other customs and rituals are less good or tasteless or useless or even stupid. And who is determining this? It is elite class of people, or those who have power. So these components, some components in the culture, they got more visibility and significance, while others got less significance and less visibility. Okay, by considering them cultureless. So this was the major thing that they are questioning and trying to discover about these power relations in generating meanings and ideas inside a culture. So these are the major things that they will do in cultural studies. So now let's see some facts related to cultural studies as an introduction. So this is the introductory part I have referred earlier. So cultural studies is an academic discipline. So it's basically an interdisciplinary subject. Okay, cultural studies, it's not like we are having a thematic study here. We will take a work and we will study the background and the culture in it. No, it's not like that. Cultural studies is an interdisciplinary academic subject, and it offers to study how literary texts are theorized and read. How literary texts came out as a major cultural artifact and how it got read. Okay, that's how mainly they study in cultural studies as far as literary texts are concerned. It's an interdisciplinary field of study. Interdisciplinary study means it make in cultural studies we may look at some feminist aspects, post-colonial aspects, gender aspects, queer aspects, or we may look at some other aspects too, like sociological aspects, financial aspects. So everything that comes under, see, everything that is related to human beings are also related to culture, right? So everything will come under cultural studies. So Raymond Williams, he is a major proponent in cultural studies, and he is the one who said that culture is ordinary. So Raymond Williams says study of a particular way of life rather of people or period or a group. So cultural studies is not about studying about a particular kind of people or a particular kind of period or particular kind of group that we are doing in sociological or historical kind of studies, but it studies the particular way of life, the cultural aspects, in the sense that the customs, the rituals, the everyday, how they are carrying out the everyday life, what are the cultural artifacts that they are approving. So in this way, Raymond Williams says that it is not about, cultural studies is not about a particular kind of people or a particular period or a particular group, but it mainly studies the particular way in which people are carrying about their life. The object of study is the culture itself. So what is the major object that we are studying here? The culture, the everyday culture of people, and the original evolution of a culture is the main focus. So when we focus upon culture, what is more important? We are focusing upon the origin, how this culture came into being, how in this culture certain things are given more credibility, visibility, significance, while some others are not getting it. Okay, so mainly it starts with the origin, then the evolution of culture. That is the major focus when we study about a culture. And it also, cultural studies uses different assumptions, methods and approach while study about a culture. So about methods, approach and assumptions, we will have another separate individual video. It will use like any other study or any other theory. Cultural studies also will use many approaches, assumptions and methods while study culture. And Clifford Geertz says that, see, please remember these theoreticians' names, okay? So once we go deep into it, you will come across lot of other theoreticians, but still what they are saying, what are their major contributions and their coinages of terms, They are absolute important. Okay. Clifford Geertz says there is no such thing as human independent of culture. So everybody that is there in this planet, on this planet as human beings, they are dependent of culture. They are practicing something in their life. If they are doing something in their life, or if they are having an everyday life, then everybody is having an everyday life until they die, right? So they are practicing some sort of culture. So Guilford Gill specially says that there is no such thing that they are independent of culture. Humans are independent of culture. Nobody can claim that. Moving on, culture is the socio-political discourse that dominates the public space and permeates into the private spaces occupied by the individuals and becomes a part of their subconscious identity. Okay, so take the example of any other things that we are practicing. So the way in which you are dressed. If you are a woman, if your gender is woman, then you should appear in certain way. In public space, so that that discourse that we are practicing in our public space, especially as a cultural thing, that will permeate, that will reflect, that will also penetrate into the private spaces that we are occupied as individuals, and it will become a subconscious identity. That's why when we see someone or some woman who is dressed not in the in that customary manner, then we will feel some sort of problem, that people will feel some sort of problem. It's just a cultural thing. Your way of dressing is just a cultural thing, because if you look at the history, we were not dressed in the same way. Human beings have not dressed in the same way for the whole century, because culture is changing and it is not statics. That's why such kind of differences, such kind of variations are occupied. In 19th century, Indian people were not dressed as the same that we are doing now. And in the 20th century too, the dressing style, their food habits were different. Now it is different, and after certain period of time, it will also different from today's time. So culture is not static, it is moving, but still we feel that if somebody goes against this kind of notions, we'll feel some problems, because these customs, the little things that we are doing, the little customs that we are practicing, the dressing style, the food habits and everything like that, it actually formed a part of our subconscious identity, and we feel this as solid and static and unmoving. Okay. The discussion about culture can be traced back to the 1860 with Matthew Arnold. So the discussion of culture, we can start with Matthew Arnold's work Culture and Civilization, which looked at the canonical literature in shaping individual sensibility. So canonical literature itself is a kind of cultured thing that will elite people will enjoy, right? Who is selecting the literature for canonical literature? Who labels a literary piece as canonical work? So the one work or the works which are actually satisfying certain rules laid by the critics and authors, that should be categorized as canonical. Okay, nothing else. Anything that goes beyond these canonical rules are not canonical literature. See, especially literature done by women, literature that goes against such social constructs, or the literature done by queer people, or if you see history is also like that. You cannot find the history of women that much. Okay, so take the example of independence of India. You cannot find historical evidences in the mainstream history. You won't find that much women characters or women historical figures. So in that way, some are got selected, some are not got selected. So this discussion of culture and and all, we can see from Matthew Arnold's Culture and Civilization, in which he says that how canonical literature is shaping individual sensibility. So if you want to be a cultured person, see, canonical literature can lead you. So culture is something that is elite. So the elite people culture, their taste, their lifestyle, it is more cultured than the lower class people. So cultural studies, an academic discipline, gained currency with the publication of uses of literacy. by Richard Hoggart. So this is an important fact related to cultural studies. Please make a note of it. See, cultural studies as an academic discipline gained currency, gained popularity with the publication of Views of Literacy, happened in 1957 by Richard Hoggart. Richard Hoggart is the first chairman of British Contemporary Cultural Studies of Birmingham University. That we will see later. And Raymond Williams, Culture and Society. See, in Culture and Society, Raymond Williams says culture is ordinary, dismantling every other idea of Matthew Arnold says in Culture and Civilization. And this work came out in 1958. So remember these theoreticians and their major works too. And both of these works challenged the privileged aspects of literary traditions and taking into account non-canonical cultural forms. See, during those times, canonical works were there and some literary pieces were there. Those were not considered as canonical works. Canonical works in the sense that though they are not epic works, or they are not tasteful works, or tasteful in this works in the sense that they are not actually following rules and regulations. They are not actually, they are deviant kind of works. So until that day, it's like, only canonical things are studied. Take the example of classical music and pop music. Nobody studied pop music, but those who have taste for music, they'll study classical music. In India, it's a usual thing, right? So because of cultural studies, they actually challenged these privileged aspects, like, is it very easy to sing pop music? No, I don't think so. It also needs some kind of trainings, needs some kind of consistent training, right? So it's like, these cultural forms, if you consider classical music, then that is elite, but pop music or cinematic music, that is not that elite. It's quite ordinary, right? So, if you have a taste for classical music, then that is cultural. And if you are just know some cinematic music to how to sing, then that's just popular, nothing else. So they mainly challenged this aspect of literary traditions, and they actually took non-canonical cultural forms such as this, and they studied it. So establishment of BCCS in Britain in 1964 gave cultural studies an academic form and established a form as an academic subject, academic discipline. And what is the expansion of BCCS? Birmingham Center for Contemporary Cultural Studies. Birmingham Center for Contemporary Cultural Studies. Please make a note of it. We will have an individual video about it. There we will discuss about it in detail. And Richard Hoggart was the first director or chairman of this center. And Stuart Hall joined after Hoggart in the center in 1964. So Stuart Hall and his major contributions immensely flourished this, made this center to flourish further later in future. Now we don't have any British Culture Studies center and all. It got locked because of some reason that we will discuss when we discuss about BCCS in particular. And later British Cultural Studies expanded its concerns to questions of subjectivity, identity, power, politics. So when we consider cultural studies, it is not only about the socio-cultural aspects and power relations within a society, but it will talk about subjectivity, identity, power politics, feminism, queer things, then post-colonial things, structural, pro-structural, deconstructive. Every other thing comes under cultural studies because all these things are related to human beings, and human beings are so much dependent upon cultural aspects and his or her culture. And cultural studies developed to explain the coming together of wider ideologies of power politics, the identity politics, under the rubrics of cultural studies such as class struggle, feminism, race, caste, nationality. So every one of these topics that we study individually also comes under cultural studies. So it actually comes under, various things comes under and join together the wide ideologies of power politics. See, in cultural studies, when we discuss about class struggle, basically we are discussing about power politics. Feminism is also about power politics. Race, caste, nationality, all these comes under power politics. So that actually these broad wide ideologies are coming together, and they, all these things are coming under the rubrics of cultural studies such as class struggle, feminism, caste, race, nationality, and so on and so forth. Cultural studies is interested in the process by which power relations between and within the group of human beings organize cultural artifacts, food habits, music, cinema, sports events, and celebrity culture and their meaning. So, like I said, cultural studies interested in how power relations are working and how human beings are organized these cultural artifacts and how they are carrying out their day-to-day life, food habits, music, cinema, sports events, celebrity culture, and etc. So I think that's the end of this video. So that was about some introductory facts related to cultural studies. So far what we have discussed about culture is clear to you, and the terms that you came across here will get some clarity in the further videos. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel, because I don't want you to use any connections, any concepts that we are discussing in in cultural studies. So this is going to be a long video series, so subscribe to it and follow it consistently. Follow me in Instagram too, my ID is right here. So if you don't have an Instagram app, download it, and it is useful for you. I'm sharing immense amount of free materials there. And don't forget to visit my website www.highpoint.in, in which you can find immense study materials, and also you can have 2 bonuses like weekly test and personal study guidelines once you join for the course, and a 15% of off is going on to start your preparations early and cover the entire portion early, and also revisit and revision your study materials or your covered portions as many times as possible. And if you want to join the WhatsApp group, of course message me in this number. I'll make you join, or I'll send you the link so that you can join and have all the facilities that I am providing there. So that's all about it. Thank you for watching this video. Let me meet you in the next video section. Until then, bye bye and happy learning.